Hi, I'm Ethan Suplee. Welcome to American Glutton. Outside of acting, my two favorite things to do are diet and eat. I have a very complicated relationship with food, and on this podcast, we're going to talk about all of it. Food as entertainment, food as sport, food as fuel. I'll talk to experts and the average person, just like you and me. Today on American Glutton Podcast, I talk to Will Sasso. Will is an actor and comedian. I have been aware of Will for a long time, but we only actually met once, and that was more of just like a nod hello as we awkwardly waited in a quiet waiting room to audition for something at the same time. I have been a fan of Will's for a long time, and amongst many people who could be called, I would call him a big guy. I wouldn't even really consider Will overweight, although I'm dead wrong on this, as you'll see in our conversation. But I was always super envious of the way Will kind of carried himself and held himself with such confidence, and he looked like a big tough guy, and I always thought of myself as just like a big squishy guy. And we discuss all of these things, and we become instant best friends at some point during this interview. You can find Will at Will Sasso on Instagram. Please enjoy. Will Sasso, welcome to the American Glutton Podcast.
Ethan Suplee, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so first, I've been a fan of yours for a long time.
Likewise.
And had huge body envy.
What?
Yes.
Well, okay, and likewise, certainly right now, especially.
I can kind of understand right now because I've been killing myself. But like, there's something, you have a freedom with your body that I never had, and we're both big guys. Yes. I was really obese. I would never think to put you in that category.
I mean, I got down at the beginning in the early 2000s, but I was, and I know your weight, and I've heard parts of the podcast, and I have so much to ask you and so much to say to you. So I'm really excited. But I think it's okay for me in clear transparency between us and everyone else listening to say that I do know what some of your former weights have been.
Yeah,
and I was at the very most, I was 450. So
really?
Yeah. In the late 90s, early 2000s, I was 450.
Okay.
So yeah, and I lost.
Well, you were legitimately overweight then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Completely. Yes.
I don't remember this, but I know you going back almost 30 years, and not as friends, but I'm familiar with you. I don't remember you being that heavy. That's wild.
Well, I got here around in the mid 90s, I was like 455. I ballooned up to 450. I'd always played sports growing up and everything, football, rah. And then I moved down here when I was 21, and it was, absolutely. I got big. You stop, playing sports and rah. There's a lot of reasons. We'll get into that. But I was really big. I did this show, I did Mad TV, and the first 2 seasons I was large, and at the end of the second season I started training, and I got into, I didn't understand food. I didn't know the difference between a protein and a carbohydrate or a Republican. I had no idea. And so then, I had this incredible trainer, Brad, who really changed my life, and I adopted the clean eating thing, and I was 24 and the weight just went, and so I lost 200 pounds in a year. The first 6 months clean. The last 6 months I did hydroxycut back when it had ephedrine in it. And which was, friends of mine would be like, I'd cycle on and off. People would be like, are you on hydroxycut right now? I'm like, yeah, why? I'm like, you've been a fucking asshole for 2 weeks.
I remember that. That doesn't exist anymore, right? Yeah.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I used to go to this place, N101, this nutrition store that just had every contraband, everything. And they're like, they won't let us carry the hydroxycut and the ephedrine in the hydroxycut anymore. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, but we have a few boxes of just straight ephedrine.
Right.
So I bought like a box of ephedrine that I would take with the hydroxycut
to get,
because it's the last 6 months. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, I got to get that brown fat out.
Yeah.
And then my girlfriend at the time was like, what the fuck is that? Because I was hiding it. Like a fat dude would have hid food. Now I'm hiding the hydroxy. Gotta hide something. And so she's like, nope, and threw it all away and probably saved my life. But yeah, so I lost 200 pounds.
I had a buddy recently. It's so wild that you brought that up. Who recently was like, ephedrine's not really bad for you, and you can get it over the counter. And I'm like, what? Nothing you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I'm a recovering drug addict. Like, should you really be telling me to take this stuff?
Yeah. And take some hydroxychloroquine at the same time.
Yeah, take all of it. Just take everything you can get your hands on. But so that's wild. So you fucking did a huge transformation.
I did it. I had the skin surgery.
You did?
I had 2 skin surgeries.
What the fuck? I had no idea.
I never talk about it at all.
Okay, let's get into this.
I literally, dude, I never talk about it. So here is a place that I would, it's funny. I was on a buddy's podcast a couple years back, and I sort of try not to part with a lot of information sometimes, personal stuff. And we were just joking, and I was like, yeah, well, I told him about how I will eat, like eating on the way home from something. And you talked about this in your first episode of this podcast, and I was listening to it. That's such a thing that I normally don't talk about it, but I lost the weight, and then I had to do the 2. I'm rambling, man. I had to do the 2 surgeries. They were gnarly. In the spring of 2000, I did the abdominoplasty first. They cut off 8 pounds of skin, and then they did the chest, and they moved my nipples up, and I have scars that go all the way.
Me too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When did you do yours?
2008.
Wow, man.
Fucking same time.
Did you do the 2? Did they split them up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a full circle all the way around the first. Well, no, I mean, listen, we could just fucking talk about. I had so much anxiety going into it, so much anxiety coming out of it. Yeah. And I had my wife who was basically like, you're going to sit here until they say you can get up and move. And I was like, fuck you. On day 1, I'm standing up, and I was moving. And I think 2 weeks into it, I fell and tore my side open. No. And they don't stitch you back up.
No, what?
Yeah. I had a wound vac where they have like constantly putting gauze into the wound.
Why do they not stitch you back up? What?
The guy was literally like, well, you've done this now. If we stitch you back up, it's probably just going to keep coming apart. So we're going to do something called a wound vac. And it was months and months. I went back to work on a television series with a tube that they would, you could take it off. But I constantly had to put it back on because it's draining
the Jackson Pratt
liquid.
Bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ball that you push it.
So this was a machine now that's constantly sucking.
Oh man.
Liquid. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. And up until just recently, like I think last week we had a guy on who was a professional plastic surgeon specifically for skin. I was like, I will never consider doing something like that again because it was so horrible. Ugh. How was your experience with this?
It was bad.
It's just not fucking good. It's hard.
You know what? I had this doctor who's he was a surgeon, and he's a plastic surgeon, but he also is a surgeon, which, the good ones are, right? So, from what I've heard. And so they do the surgery, they start, and then he undermined my skin. Of course, they don't tell you this, to your neck. So they had both of us up, like a fucking pup tent.
Yeah.
And the only reason he told me this is because he said, well, then I noticed that your stomach muscles were distended from the subcutaneous fat.
Yeah.
From all the organ fat. So he's like, and he told me 3 weeks later, because here, I'll tell you what happened, but essentially he cut a strip of muscle out of me and stitched me back together. The first night, there were no post-op care facilities available in LA. Leave it to a place like LA to book. Everyone had to get their plastic surgery that weekend or something. It was Good Friday and Easter weekend, so it was just booked. And I was like, well, whatever, I'll just go back to my place. And I hired 2 nurses shifting.
Oh my God.
So I literally got into a nurse's like Nissan after the surgery, and it was and you're trying to stay curled over. I had the bed set up with pillows and this and that. And the first night the nurse didn't give me my pain meds. Didn't wake me up in the night to give me pain meds. So essentially I woke up My girlfriend at the time noticed my toes wriggling at around 5 a.m., she told me, and it was pain, and I woke up in the most intense pain. Long story short, the doctor 3 weeks later was like, "Oh yes, this what I said." It was like the end of Braveheart where they're pulling my guts out. He's like, "Yeah, well, you essentially would have known what it was like to have been cut in half, because all the pain meds had worn off."
Yeah.
The new nurse came and and they shot me up full of this and that, and I passed out. And I got on the phone with my buddy Dylan, and I remember calling him sweetie and honey. "All right, I'll talk to you later, sweetheart." He's like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "I don't know, man."
Right. I feel pretty good
Yeah,
now.
I didn't know who I was talking to or what. It's Dylan. Who is a... And yeah, man. And then the second one was a breeze.
Yeah.
And I was working out all the time, and I was like, to hear, well, you're not going to be in the gym for 6 weeks. I was like, fuck that.
Right.
And I was like hiking up Runyon and shit. And
But the second one, and I had the second one too. For me, the first one was the most severe.
Well,
and
absolutely.
maybe that's why they did it first.
Yes, that's why they do it first. And in your case, absolutely. Dude, I had, they put those 12-inch perforated tubes in there to drain. And man, the nurse took it out. I'm laying there on my bed, and she's like, "We're gonna extract the tubes." I'm like, "You're gonna do it?" And I mean, this is a thing where, the first couple days or whatever, I would time my pain meds so that I could get up and just walk to my bedroom door and back.
Yeah.
And then you get back on the bed, and then the bulbs start filling with different humors of red, and it's just like, and I remember when she pulled it out, this big, like, it was just, she's like, this one doesn't want to come out. And then she pulls it out, and it was just followed by this, big, long, like bloodworm,
Yeah. Yeah, well, you would have to strip the tubes. And did anybody have a conversation with you when you started losing weight? Like, this is going to happen. This is going to be a part of it. Me neither.
Yeah.
So when you lost this weight, was it a surprise? Like, I remember being so shocked and going, why didn't I think of this? Why was this not something that I was considering a possibility?
The skin loss? Or the skin surgery? No. Yeah. Absolutely nobody told me. I started, because you start losing weight assuming that it's not going to work.
Right.
And this time it stuck. And I found something. I mean, I can remember being in high school and I was always big and shit, but I was playing football and stuff. And, I want to lose weight for this and that, this other, this football thing. And I can remember like talking to some suburban nutritionist back when I was a kid and, in high school, and they're like, I'm eating veggie sandwiches and stuff. I'm like, this isn't, years later, I'm like, oh, what? I didn't get any protein, and I'm lifting weights and like just the weirdest stuff. So you don't know. And when I started losing the weight this way, I started just researching it on my own, going, oh, I'm going to have, or it's not going to come back. My doctor's like, no, you're going to have the surgery. I didn't expect it would go this well. Absolutely nobody tells you what's going to happen. And then also you think you're going to end up perfect. You think, oh, they're going to cut everything off and I'm going to look great. Yeah. And by next week, I'm going to be like, this is the body I dreamed of. But no, you're introducing a bunch of new problems, and a lot of them aesthetic. And I can remember my doctor using the word deformity once. I've never told this story. He's like, well, this deformity here. And I remember going like,
fuck you.
Hey, man.
You're talking about me.
Yeah, I'm a person. Like, he's like, oh. But he also thought that I was pretty loose, because I remember asking him, do you have to replace my nipples or my belly button? Because they cut around and they take the fucking umbilical cord and go, poke, here's your new belly button. Because your panis, the fucking skin, is now floating somewhere, off of the coast of Long Beach or wherever they put the medical waste. And so I was like, can I go nippleless and, navelless, just as a joke.
Just getting really funky. What
can I go? Yeah, I just want to be Ken doll. And then he's like, no. And then I was like, and another friend of mine had a suggestion that I passed along. I was like, hey, may I have the rest of the skin? He's like, why?
I did the same fucking thing, dude. Oh my God.
Are you serious?
Well, I went a step further and was planning to hijack the surgery.
What do you mean?
Because the guy wouldn't give me the skin.
Yeah.
And I had it in my head, like I had so many irrationalities. None of them are sane at all. I'm a fucking crazy person after all. And I was like, if we're gonna cut this skin off, I'm gonna tan it,
Yeah.
And I'm going to make keychain bangles for my friends, and I'm going to give them out as gifts.
Oh, that's fucking amazing. I wanted to make a throw pillow with the date on it.
I'm in. By the way, I think it's a piece of artwork. I mean, this is so morbid for people. I've said this to people, and they're so horrified, and I'm like, it's me. What do I do?
Yeah.
I don't want to, like the idea of throwing it away seems just as bad.
Yeah, I hate to steal a famous line from a movie, but Ethan, did we just become best friends?
I think we did.
Yeah.
I really think we did.
Dude, I was like, I'm going to make a throw pillow out of this. And he's like, well, why would you want, I'm an actual surgeon. The advantage to having me is you're not paying for any of the pathology. That would cost $10,000 alone. Right. He's like, we're just throwing it away. No, you're not allowed to have it. So then he's talking deformity, this and that. And then you wake up and you're out of it and you're like, it's all right.
Right.
Well, I got these fucking scars and putting vitamin E and tea tree oil. They're not disappearing. No. Big fucking railroad, things.
I mean, the scars are crazy.
And I over the years, I know you're married, you've been married for a long time, but, and I have been single a lot or, I'm not married. So, I'm with a longtime girlfriend now and it's all good. And, but when you're dating and, women are like, well, what's that? First, it's like I'm not taking my shirt off, even though I'm in good shape. Now we're really getting deep. But then when they see it, it's like, shark attack. Never mind that. Right. How did the shark get so symmetrical with his? Yeah. I don't know.
Both sides.
Yeah.
There was a period before I started doing this where I felt a sense of freedom for the first time, and it was almost like a fuck you. I have scars, and you can look at these scars and fucking up your ass if you don't like them. I don't care.
Yeah.
And I would go walk around Griffith Park with my shirt off.
Great.
And then I started doing this, and I had like a few instances of paparazzi in front of my house where I was like, what are we doing? I'm not on a fucking TV show right now. Like, I'm not actually popular. What are you guys taking pictures? No, you're like we're going to show you in this new body. And that kept the shirt on because I was like, God forbid I get the scars discussed on TMZ. You know what I mean? That would make me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I've now come back to a little bit of like, who fucking cares?
Sure. Well, you get older too.
Yeah, like, I have children. What kind of example am I setting for them by like? But I will say that the few times recently I've taken my shirt off at the beach, they're like, "Oh my God, is anybody looking?" Like it's a whole thing.
I remember right after I had the surgery, after I had the second surgery, and I waited like 3 weeks or whatever, and then I met up with some friends. Like down in San Diego, we went to the beach and stuff. And so I remember driving down there and, meeting my pals, literally like, okay, we'll meet on the beach. And then some buddies who live down there. And I walked onto the beach and I still had the surgical wraps because I liked sleeping in them because they really cut down the swelling. And you could just wake up and piss for 5 minutes and it's good. And I remember walking onto the beach and like ripping off with a flourish, like ripping off the surgical wraps just as a joke. And also, making my friends laugh because they're like, oh, what the fuck? And why didn't they fix that? Yeah. And this and that and blah, blah, blah. And that, and then I would go boogie boarding. And to hear you say that you split wide open, the worst I ever got was just fortunate. I was also so careful to hear that you fell, man. I can't even, because
I fell like down a hill too.
What?
Yeah. It was really, really bad.
Dude,
I wound up in the hospital for a couple of weeks. And then I ultimately had to go back to work on My Name is Earl and wound up carrying around a machine that we would take off 4 shots and then I would put it back on. It was the worst, like the worst case scenario. And I made it happen because I was so anxious. It was all bad.
And that's okay. It's fine now. But gosh.
And then my scars are very big on one side.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have people just being like, for you and me, understanding that nobody even talks to you about the shit, when other people hear what you've done, and also, of course, it's elective surgery, which you're paying for. There's no way to get it insured. And then, look, you and I are in the business, and I know that I felt so fortunate that I could even look. It was $50,000.
Yeah,
it's 50 fucking grand. There's people listening right now, obviously, who. I mean, I don't want to be discouraging folks. Like, it's like if you're out there and you're working it, just keep Ethan, I'm sure you are telling your audience all the time to keep at it. I know that there's people listening to me right now who want to do what you've done and some of what I've done in the past. I'm a fat ass right now, but kind of.
I still look at you and think you look fantastic.
Oh,
and
cheers.
Have had literally body envy of you for years.
Oh, that's really wild. Well, look, I want to tell people out there that the price of that surgery will probably come down. Speaking of that, everything's happening on Zoom.
Right.
There's going to be some laser treatment. It'll be an iPhone app, and you just have a little attachment at the bottom, like attaching that little square thing to run credit cards, and it'll just have laser stuff on it, and it'll probably take longer.
Yeah. But it will be a lot less painful.
Yeah. No, I hope that something like this surgery does become something that can be insured. Wow. I really don't want to go off on that jag, because then we'll be talking about healthcare. Right. And it's going to be the first 5-hour podcast of all time.
There's a dude named John Gloud whose handle on Instagram is Obese to Beast, and he did not have the surgery. And he is on there every day with his shirt off. Maybe not every day, but quite often, multiple times a week. And I think it's so valuable, because anybody looking at massive weight loss, as you said, nobody told me. I had no idea that my skin was not going to disintegrate. I thought as I lose weight, I will become like what I want to look like. And it's just not the case.
You start wearing a lot of sweaters once you get up to the surgery. People are like, it's August. Why are you wearing this?
Yeah. It's an important thing for people to be aware of.
It's that, and well, that sounds awesome what that guy's doing, because I think there's a lot of people out there that do need that support to know that. I mean, look, there's so many different, we're talking about health versus aesthetics. Yeah. And if you got to lose the weight, please focus on that and don't think about the aesthetics. Also, because I've been completely shocked, and getting back to saying like, being a single guy over the years here and there, I have always been shocked. I mean, look, guys and women are wonderful in that they can fall in love with someone, even though you've got a railroad track heading up here or there. And I've never had problems. Again, thankfully, they seem to fall in love with other things before they care what the hell you look like in most cases. So just keep doing it. Don't worry about it. There's, people are not, I mean, really, truly, it's not as big a deal as your health. Yeah,
I do. I find, I think the question I'm asked the most is, what did you do? And I feel like I've been pretty clear about what I've done. And then the second one is, I'm starting to notice loose skin. How did you deal with this? And it's like, the only way I know of dealing with loose skin is surgery, but it's not really discussed. It's not a big thing. Like,
well, also I kind of feel like there's not a lot of empathy for people who have lost, who are, I mean, there's not a lot of empathy for a lot of different people who can subscribe to a group. Right. Clearly nowadays, in many ways that we can discuss forever. As far as people who are heavier than they want to be, there's so many things that aren't discussed. It's almost like, you have children. I don't have children as of yet. And it's like, it's the same thing when people, they don't tell you that this is going to happen when you have kids the first, year or whatever. So it's one of those things. And in that people don't have a whole lot of empathy for overweight people and the mess we've gotten ourselves into by just refusing to stop eating, because that's how because we all want to balloon up and make it onto my 600-pound life. Yeah. That's the goal. Surely everyone who's obese wants to be obese, you lazy fucker. No. Your pals Ethan and I know that's not what's up, and nobody's going to tell you, because people don't have empathy for what the fuck you look like and the struggle you'll have to go through. And if you lose a lot of weight, you probably also have a lot of people around you who aren't even acknowledging it.
I think we get into a weird state where I look around at the country and I go like, yeah, we need inexpensive food because people need to eat. Like that's good. I'm glad that when you think about 50 years ago or 100 years ago or whatever, and food was 45% of the paycheck was dedicated to feeding the family, and now it's so much less. Great. Yeah. But what comes along with that is massive overweight pandemic,
Absolutely.
if we're going to call it. It is spread across the country, so maybe it's an epidemic because I don't see it so much in other countries, but it's still in a worldwide phenomenon of people becoming these weights. There can be all these points of view, like, look at what you've done to yourself. And it's like, yeah, I did, but I'm constantly being marketed cheap food.
Yes.
I can go get gas and without thinking about it, grab 2,000 calories for next to nothing.
Right. 2,000 calories.
Yeah.
That's right.
And as I'm driving, there's billboard after billboard making me salivate.
Yeah.
And like, at no point did anyone sit me down and go, here's how your body uses food. Here's it's necessary function. And like, what do you want with your body? Like, these are conversations I never had with anybody.
No. And it's not really being taught in schools. Most parents obviously aren't talking about it. Your friends are. Now I remember what I was going to say about AG, that he said to you, you look amazing, and you do need to hear that. And it is great to hear that. And I remember, you were saying on the podcast that you were like, he was like, is that bad? And you're like, no, you want to know that you're fucking doing it. And I know that you've been in situations like this, and so have I, where people don't want to mention it because they don't want to hurt your feelings, or some people don't want to acknowledge that you've done anything. And,
right.
and the mental on this, just like any other big change in your life, is so drastic that if you don't hear people saying, talking to you about it so that you can process what you've become, and also for people who are now going through the journey, what you will be going through, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that feedback. And yeah, man, it's the programming of what's out there of processed foods versus whole foods. And now I'm just doing whole foods. Look,
Yeah.
I should say, it's really, the eating thing for me has been interesting. Since the pandemic started, I've lost some weight. My girlfriend is and here's a good life hack. My girlfriend, whom I love very much, and I would love very much if this wasn't her profession. She's a trainer and a private chef. Wow. Yeah. So
that is a fucking keeper, Will.
She's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
We've been together just like a year and a half. And look, man, I'm 45 years old. She's in her early to mid 30s, and we're making it's happening. Like, I can't even believe that I found this person. And again, I love her even without this, but now I'm going to talk about this. When we started dating, I was about to do the show. I was about to do this pilot, and they were like, and my manager, with whom I've been, for like 25 years, she's incredible. And she's like, well, they want you to lose a little bit of weight before you start shooting. I was like, and because I was a bit heavier than I have been. Over the past 3 years, I've been a bit heavier. Up until a few months ago, it just on the heavier side of what I've been for the past, again, 20-ish years.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got to lose weight. This isn't good. I'm in my 40s and fuck, and so we start dating, and then I'm doing this pilot, and they're like, well, they want you to lose a few pounds. And I'm like, I'm over $3 billion right now. I can work at, when's this thing? We're shooting in 3 weeks? Okay, so I'm going to lose at the very most 15 pounds or maybe 20, bunch of water weight. And guess what? They're not going to notice the difference. But they're paying for a trainer? Fucking sure. It's been a while. I kind of haven't been, I lifted weights when I was a teenager. I took the 5 years off, when you move to Hollywood and you get out of high school and this whole thing. That's when I ballooned up a lot, gained 150 pounds. And then I started weight training at 24. And about 5 years ago, I stopped lifting weights. I started again recently. I have this incredible trainer, Nick Blauer, over at Deuce Backlot. And I haven't seen him since the pandemic started. But we're still in touch. We're going to keep training pretty shortly here. But I was, I'm like, yeah, I'll go train. I asked some friends. They're like, go to Nick. The studio paid for the first few sessions, and then we're on set. And then I'm like, I'm going to keep doing this with this guy through the summer and now, into the new year. But at a certain point, she was like, do you want me to help you with the food? Because she didn't want to, it was a new relationship.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I have zero pride. You can
Tell me.
chime in.
Yeah.
And also, this is a relationship and a partnership where we want to put each other up. We want to be supportive to one another. I don't have any problems with her telling me what to eat. I mean, now I am so blown away by how patient and just dogged with me. Put that down.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I just had a fucking pickle. Who cares? She's like, well, that's salt. Even this weekend, dude, because we've chilled out in July and it kind of slipped into August. Just like, let's go. You can't do anything. There's no vacations. I can't go up home to Canada right now. Well, let's just go Airbnb a fucking house in the desert and whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna eat. We gotta have a day where we just get stoned and fucking. I'm gonna get some chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, whatever. Knock yourself out. So we've kind of been summering, and so over the weekend, I'm like, well, I'm doing Ethan's podcast on Monday. She's like, well, we can't have your cheat meal on Saturday. And I'm like, or Tuesday. I can't. I'm like, what about Tuesday? Dude, tonight I'm going to eat cauliflower pizza.
Yeah.
And we're going to watch some shitty movie. But literally a couple days ago, I'm like, I eat a pickle. She goes, I thought you wanted to, you've taken the week to like feel good because you're going in to talk to Ethan. You want to feel good. You want to look good.
Here.
Yeah. It's like, you can't just have a pickle. That's a lot of salt.
Yeah.
Might've been last night. Anyway, look, the point is I'm sorry for eating that pickle, Ethan.
I gave up salt recently too.
What?
It's awful. Yeah.
Oh, I eat a lot.
It's awful. So do I.
I eat salt.
Yeah.
I salt the fuck out of everything. Well, this is what my girlfriend did. This is what she did this past spring. Oh my God, this is hilarious. March, the pandemic starts, and then at the beginning of April, and she's since told the story like, oh yeah, I didn't ask him. I was eating and I never eat cereal, but she was like, you can have cereal. It's just got to be very low in sugar and just start your day off. And then we've been going for a 5-mile walk every day. Right. And so she's like, yeah, no, you can have that. And then one day she goes, I'm going to just make oatmeal for you. I think you should have oatmeal. I was like, okay. She goes, you know what? I'm going to cook your lunch. We both cook. And, I'm Italian. I'm all about food culture and that. Hearing you talk about food, like use the term, I excitedly told my girlfriend about it this morning. I was like, Molly, he calls it entertainment, because I'm Italian.
That's a big part of your life.
It is such a culture, and food has become a celebration. And as an emotional eater, it's a celebration. It's also when you're bummed. It's also when you're bored. It's this and that. Well, she said, I'm going to cook your lunch today. I was like, okay. And she's like, I'm going to make dinner. How about you let me make? Then the second day she did the same thing. And then around lunch, the second day she goes, so guess what? This is what we're doing for a month.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. She's like, I know. And you're always just opening the fridge and looking in it. And my fridge has just been vegetables and proteins for 20 years.
Yeah.
But I'm still big because I cheat, because I go out and I have this, or because I'm having the 2,000 calories on the way home without even knowing it, because I binge eat if it's late at night. I'm hanging out with my buddies, and I've had, some aforementioned marijuana, which is interesting. I'm from British Columbia, Canada, where it grows in the cracks in the sidewalks. And I just started smoking weed like 5 years ago, which is the dumbest thing to do if you're a fat guy. Yeah. The dumbest thing. But it's also like, well, I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in a long time, around 7-8 years. I was never super into it. So that's good. Because drinking and that's, we talk for
add on the calories from
just
beer.
The worst.
Yeah.
So that's good. I've never super been into it. I used to like to get good and pissed with my buddies, but it was never an addiction or a thing I even wanted to. I never really felt that bite. I need that scotch. Scotch is good though. And she's like, this is the way you're going to eat. And I'm like, okay. So we did it through April. I stopped going to the fridge and, your body adapts in this way. And a week in, I'm like, this is good. I feel full. We're eating a lot of whole foods. I'm eating a lot of just basically vegetables, not a lot of fruits, vegetables and proteins. For me, I would take an entire chicken, split it down the middle because it grills much juicier when you leave the chicken together. Yeah. Everybody knows this. Put it on the grill, slow cook. By the way, I need to say this. I make the greatest fucking chicken in the world. And speaking of sodium, this is how my dad used to make it. He just, like many things in his life, a simple Italian man who grew up during World War II. He cooks it slow, and you put salt on it. That's it. Salt,
all you
and
need.
Chicken tastes amazing. So now I'm eating fucking chicken breast, which fuck chicken breast.
The worst.
I want thighs. I want
Yeah.
that crispy skin. I want the dark meat with the fat just coursing through it. So now she's got me eating chicken breast, but I'll eat 2 handfuls of chicken breast. And anyway, she's changed the way I eat and the way I look at food again. She did it last year, a little more gently. Now with the pandemic, she's, I ordered I didn't know what was going to happen at the beginning of the pandemic. I ordered so much rice.
Me too.
Really?
I have 60 pounds of rice in my house.
Yes. I had so much rice. I ordered rice from the small, our rice here at Lumberg Farms or whatever.
Right.
Actually, they're a big rice outfit. I ordered this rice. They wrote me a nice note, this family. Thank you for ordering all this. Because, I got a bunch of pounds and pounds. I gave a buddy, they're like, the pandemic starts. It's like, our friend Allison's like, we're coming over. I'm coming over. I'm going to drop off rubber gloves. I got some rubber gloves, and I got a shitload of hand sanitizer. Okay, here, you guys take a fucking 8-liter Home Depot bucket of rice. Yeah. And do you need any beans? We have enough fucking beans. And my buddy Tommy, we got all these potatoes. You want? So it's become a barter system. I haven't eaten any of this fucking rice. I keep bitching at my girlfriend.
I went through 2 20-pound bags, and then I was just like, I can't eat rice anymore. I'm going to sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. She's like, well, a perfect meal is beans and rice. With the beans with the rice, it makes it a perfect protein.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, can't wait to eat beans and rice No, we're going to start a new diet.
Yeah.
Grocery stores are still open.
Yeah.
How about zucchini and chicken breast for the rest of your life? Oh, boy.
Fuck. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm doing right now.
I want to ask you about where the shit starts, because hearing you talk about being 5 years old and visiting your grandparents.
Yeah.
Your grandparents looking at a child who, by today's standards,
thin.
Yeah. Not super overweight, and then putting you on a fucking
diet. By the
diet.
way, I think probably not overweight at all by today's standards. At all.
What, you just had a nice, cute, round face?
That's it.
Like,
that was it.
Ass.
And it was literally like, holy shit, this kid has let himself go. That was the vibe. And
are your grandparents aware? Were they aware of how puberty works and that you would actually grow taller and stretch out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I was a pain in the ass to my parents.
Yeah.
So that my grandparents were probably getting really stressful. We can't take it with this kid. He's really a pain in the ass. I showed up and my grandparents were like, well, he's a giant fat person, so let's whip him into shape by showing him discipline, and we're going to humiliate him by making him naked way every morning in front of us, and then we're going to restrict his food, and we're going to go on forced marches. And all this did was make me go okay, well, I'm going to sneak food.
Yeah.
I'm going to absolutely sit still. Now, going from a kid who loved to go out and play in their woods and search around the forests of Vermont, I then went to, okay, well, fuck you. I'm now just going to sit and watch TV, and you're going to make me march. Well, that's all I'm going to do.
Yeah.
It had the wrong effect. I'm sure they didn't, obviously they didn't intend it to have the effect that it did.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this shit's counterintuitive,
Yeah. Yeah. And kids, I really think it has, depending on who you're talking to, it's 80% nutrition, it's 60, it's 90, whatever. Kids today are facing, an epidemic of processed foods and cheap foods and stuff that isn't food, because there's corn lobbies and soy lobbies, and it's there's corn and shit that isn't even
it has
corn.
No business being there.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely, parents and kids are now up against it in a much different way. But when we were growing up, just have a bologna sandwich and get out in the woods. I grew up in a country ass place, and it was you were just, you never even thought about it. No. And if you were big, you were big. I want to talk to you about that, because it's I know that my food issue started, with, I have Italian parents. You do get a little bit rewarded with food. My mom was an incredible cook. Everyone in my family cooks. And it was our fridge. You'd open the fridge and it would just be it was the elements of food that only mom could turn into. You're just opening a fridge. It's a bunch of vegetables and a fish.
Right.
And you're like, what? And then
this
she's
isn't
cleaning.
food.
And, and then all of a sudden there's this incredible 3-course Italian dinner. We always had meat.
Right.
We always had pasta growing up. And then the food shuts off. And if you don't, if you don't finish your plate, you're like, hey, why don't you eat? And come on, if you don't like, and then if you eat 2 or 3 more or 4 or 5 more pieces of chicken at the end of the day, hey, stop. So to hear you say, on this first episode of the podcast, when you're like, oh, I would, so I'd have to sneak that instead of having seconds of lasagna, I would sneak it in the kitchen, while they're watching Wheel of Fortune. And that's what I did too. I can remember my mom making chicken and potatoes a lot. And then there's just grease at the bottom of the cookie pan. It's getting baked. I would just take like a piece of bread and just make like a grease ass sandwich with the chicken skin that's stuck to the bottom of the good shit. And I can remember a delinquent buddy of mine going, oh, let's take a bottle of wine because my old man made wine. I'm like, fuck that. Like wine, I'll give you a bottle of wine. I don't give a shit about that. Let's go to your place where you have potato chips in Tupperware.
Right.
Because you have self-control. So I'll clear those out from your family.
You take my wine.
Yeah. You have some wine. You guys have ring dings and nacho chips. I can remember, you go to high school or you go to school or whatever, and I have a buddy like with a sandwich bag full of chips. My buddy Onkar, he didn't even want the chips.
Right.
And, like me and my buddy Doug, like fighting over who wants these chips, and we're like 2 fat guys just clawing at each other. Me, I want me. Yeah, and just the mania that happens with food and the self-medicating, dude. You also said something like this where I'm like, oh, okay, same person. I would drive home, and it used to be if I had some drinks or something, then you sober up and you go home, and you just hit the corner store, and just. Like I would get, and it was all of the fat guy food groups. I need to have some kind of chips or something salty and crunchy.
Crunchy and salty, yeah.
Some kind of fucking sandwich or burger or, something. I got to have an entire sandwich.
Yeah, that's the fat component.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 2 of those fucking things.
Right.
I want a burrito and a fucking the American sub. I've had every gas station sandwich, and then of course you got to have some chocolate. You got to have some dessert.
Yeah.
And then
a soda. There's going to be
gotta
soda.
have some
you got to hydrate.
Again, I was saying I was on a buddy's podcast and I laid this out. I laid out remember that time we were hanging out? Yeah, we had a big meal. We had a great meal at this incredible restaurant. Okay, cool. On the way home, because I had smoked some weed, I wouldn't drive after smoking weed. What am I saying? And I'm driving home and it's like, I'm eating all these fucking things. Look, in 2012, I said, I'm not going through any more drive-thrus.
Right.
Because it was drive-thrus.
Yeah.
And I would go home, and like I said, I live in Los Feliz, or I was telling you, and it's like, I go, but there's that Del Taco on Sunset.
Yeah.
Just the worst. But they give you French fries in a fucking, like, large cup, like it's a large soda cup. And they just fill that with French fries.
Yeah.
I'd eat French fries that were cooked in the microwave if there's a soda cup full of them. So Del Taco's great. And, I would do a corner store, and then maybe, dude, if I'm like stoned or whatever, or back in the day, if I'd had some drinks. So I'm like, I can't go through the drive-thru anymore. I've maintained that for 8 years. Way to go, fatty. All that means is if I'm cheating, I got to walk into the place. You find your way around the own thing that you've, hey, oh yeah, 8 years later, I'm so proud of myself.
Right.
I've eaten all the exact same shit. Anyway.
I have made that same determination. That was an attempt at a diet. It was no more drive-thrus. Yeah. And then you find the places that aren't just drive-thrus at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And you're standing in there and you maybe put on sunglasses or whatever. And you're like, this person, I have to take their judgment because they're watching me the whole time.
That's what's up.
And I have to stand there and wait for them to bag up my food. And if I ask for 3 sets of utensils, they know it's all for me.
Oh, Ethan, this is hilarious. That's
all
the
of that.
Exact same shit.
Yeah.
Or they ask you, how many? 3.
Right.
Yeah, 3 of us.
There's people in the car.
I got 2.
They made me come in
That's
here.
right. It's 2 a.m. and my family's in the car.
Right.
And I need these forks and knives while I'm at Garage Pizza at 3 in the morning. And it's like, dude, you're either going to taste the food or their judgment.
Yeah.
You've got to punish yourself somehow. So, because that's what this is all about. So you feel that that's a deterrent. For me, guilt has a lot to do with, in ways that I haven't quite figured out. And there's a lot of there's just a lot of food guilt. And then, I'm not leaning on this too much. And my parents are amazing, but it's like, yeah, there's this weird Catholic Italian guilt and food. And like I said, they grew up during World War II. So, you know, my father had the best relationship with food. He would be like, he would eat, he would just open a can of tuna, didn't like mayonnaise, didn't like anything processed, ate very clean. So he would open a can of tuna, he'd have a rustic piece of bread, put a little salt, pepper, a little olive oil on it, cut some red onion. Or he would take the heel of the bread that's been drying out in the oven because mom makes her own breadcrumbs, and then he'll take that thing and drop it into some little pot with boiling water, a bay leaf, some chili peppers, salt, and
soup,
and eat it like soup.
Yeah.
Olive oil. You'd be lucky to have enough olive oil
Right.
back in Italy, back in the day, and eat that. I'm like, we got soup.
Right.
I like this. This is what I like. I like to eat. So they're eating completely simply. Mom, my older brother and sister, it was the same thing when they were younger, and they're not now, but they were heavier when they were younger. And then I came along later, literally not even looking like them. They have brown hair, brown eye, black hair, brown eyes. And then I come out, blue eyes, this fat blonde kid going, oh, wow, you make your own ravioli? Like, where did this guy come from? This big German kid from these little Italian parents, and you just grow bigger than the whole family. And I got my dad's nose, so I guess. And they've just instilled, because they never had to worry about getting super big or whatever.
Yeah.
So they instill all this weird food shit, and then you get out on your own.
Oh, that's the disaster for me.
Yeah, me too.
Autonomy fucked me up.
Yeah. I moved to LA and I was like, you're only in America can you try to pinch pennies with food and this and that. Like, oh, I got a coupon here for 2 pizzas. Oh shit, if you get 2 pizzas, you get 4. Oh wow, you can get 2 free pizzas. So then they're like, you get those delivered. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll eat for 2 days.
Yeah.
Oops, ate everything. I ate everything.
I ate everything in one sitting.
Yeah, man. I mean, I used to go to, when I was 450 pounds, I was like, oh, this will be a tradition. I was on Mad TV and I did this. Even my fat ass was like, I can't do this. I did it for 2 weeks just as a way to eat shit. You know, Okie Dog on Las Canaga?
Yeah.
Where they make a hot dog. They take 2 wieners, they put it in between a burrito, a tortilla with beans, bacon, some fucking chili, the cheese, mustard, and they make a chili cheese. I was like, oh, well, I'll take after tape night. That place is open till 1:00,000. I'll take my Monday morning table read over there, and I'll just have a hot dog and read my table read. And even for me, I was like, that is disgusting. But
I remember finding places like Okie Dog because when I would go like, okay, drive-thrus are over. I'm going to actually be responsible for this. Places like Okie Dog, I would feel less judgment because they're shitholes. It's a fucking shack.
You nailed it.
That's
right.
And like you're working in a shithole.
Yeah.
You're not even working in a big corporate chain. You're not really judging.
You're not going to judge me.
This isn't McDonald's. This isn't some high class establishment.
And it's not some place where you don't eat the food. Because if you work at McDonald's, you might eat the food, but it's McDonald's. Everyone knows what McDonald's is. But you go into that Okie Dog and there's that dude behind the counter. It's like, oh yeah, you eat this shit too.
Yeah.
Zero judgment. It's fucking 4 a.m.
He's smoking a cigarette while he cooks you.
Shit.
Yeah, he does not care. And there are places like that I don't know if they're there now, but there were places like that 20 years ago all over LA.
Benito's burrito stand.
Yeah.
That was good. Benito's
Even
tacos.
like Damiano's. You go into Damiano's,
God,
dudes were ODing in the bathroom. So like, who the fuck are you judging me for getting 2 pizzas at 4 a.m?
Oh my God. Have you ever gone to Cantor's with friends and then gone over to Damiano's across the street?
I don't eat in front of people. So I go to Cantor's. I get a matzo ball soup and a plate of like green tomato pickles.
Yeah.
And I nibble at this, and then I say goodnight to everybody, and I go across the street and eat.
You're speaking my language. I have done. Oh, here's the thing that I remember telling my girlfriend early in the relationship, just to her horror, like being like, well, it's the weekend. I'm just gonna, I've been locked in my house for the better part of the past near 20 years now. So I'll do, I come outside to work and hang out with some friends, but I would do like, I would order something that I think is healthy for dinner. If I'm like, I'm just going to order shit, I don't give a fuck. And smoke a bit of weed, and it's the weekend, and I don't have to function during the week or whatever. By some people's standards, still a pretty tame weekend. I'm not running around doing hard drugs or anything, but here I am, I smoke a joint, and I ordered Thai food. Well, you got to get the fucking fish cakes though, because those are fucking incredible. And I'm gonna have that glass noodle salad because it's not pad Thai, it's not pad woon sen. It's just those.
It's also
glass
probably
noodles.
it's like a rice noodle. That's not bad. It's cold. It's probably gluten free.
It's a salad. Yeah, it's probably gluten free. Not gonna look it up,
Right.
but it probably is. And then I would order something, some sort of. This has happened a handful of times, and I'm talking about, the hat trick of. Because ordering two different, like doing Postmates or Uber Eats twice in a night, so 3 times though, that's the holy grail, where I'm like ordering 4 items from a Thai place, then getting some kind of dessert thing from some other place, and then literally staying up until 5 or 6 a.m. And it's like, well, Farmer Boys is open, and then ordering like pancakes and a fucking sausage sandwich or whatever, and then eat, and then going to sleep. And expecting to wake up? I mean, it's just fucking insane.
Postmates is something that I thank God all the time I haven't had to contend with, because when I was eating really poorly, my options were like Domino's Pizza, which had a cutoff. And so like prior to having a car, there wasn't a lot of delivery available.
It's
then
really
it was was drive-thrus. And now like the idea that, like I saw a receipt in front of my house and recently that was for 2 large pizzas delivered to my house at 3:00 in the morning from Postmates. And I just went to my kids and I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You had a party last night? And they were like, we were up really late. And like, it just, I forgot that this is something that's a thing now, that this kind of stuff. And it wasn't Domino's, like some fancy pizza place open all night.
Yes, dude.
Delivered shit in the middle of the night. And they were like, and then we wanted boba. I don't even know what fucking boba is. Some kind of sweet drink.
A drink you can eat?
Yeah, that they sent, that somebody went and picked up and dropped off at our house. And I'm like, this is bullshit. But thank God I haven't had to deal with that. I see this place near us called Spoon and Pork. That's advertised to me all the time, and every time I see it, I'm like, thank fucking God I don't use Postmates, because I would be ordering this all the time.
Dude, I fucking, I can't now, obviously. My girlfriend and I, we live together, she lives with me, and it's like, so I just can't get away with it.
Yeah. I remember prior to being with my wife, there were plenty of times that I kicked a girl out of my house so that I could go eat.
Yes.
And thinking about that now, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, this is like, it's all set up. You're like, I'm only an actor. Well, not truly, but there is a part of it that's like, I want to be cool so girls like me.
Yeah.
And now I have this girl who's pretty, who wants to sleep over, and I'm sending her away so that I can go sneak out, like, wait.
Yeah.
She must have, she's surely pulled away by now, so I can get dressed and go and find a fast food place to go.
I've absolutely done that.
It's insane.
And it's, and also because, well, there's lots of reasons you could do something like that. I mean, I can remember one instance where I was seeing someone, and I remember being like, just realizing that maybe I wasn't, I wasn't really into her or whatever. Just something as simple as that, and going to sleep next to somebody after you've, had a discussion or a tiff where you're like, I don't even know if this is, and just getting bummed out, and then her being asleep. This is the only time I've done this, and I was like, all right, I left my house and I went to, there's another Del Taco over in in
Burbank?
No, it's over in Atwater Village. Okay. And I went over there, and I literally had to walk in because it was post the 2012 drive-through moratorium. And I, walked in and got stuff and sat in the fucking parking lot and was like, I don't think it's going to work out. She doesn't like me. And like ate fucking whatever. And then went home and slipped into bed, next to this, lovely woman who I had things were
Had
going
a wonderful
fine.
night with.
Yeah. And ate something, I'm sure. I can't remember what we had for dinner that night, but I remember the story because I left and I went to fucking Del Taco and I came back. God damn it. I mean, and that's the cheating though. That's the fucking interesting thing too. That it's like,
I'm cheating on you with food.
Yeah. It's like, I got up out of bed, which just would ring so many alarms and bring and raise so many red flags for her.
Yeah.
Had she known,
Yeah.
I don't think she knew. If she knew I was gone, she certainly didn't think I'd left the house.
Right,
she said
she
nothing.
would have left or texted you or called you or something.
And she was still there sleeping. I don't even think she woke up.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. I'm not out there fucking around on the side. I'm at Del Taco. And happy as a pig and shit.
I remember, and it was truly still don't understand all of the feelings and thoughts that went into it. But when I was with who is now my wife, when I was massively overweight, and the moment that I was like thinking about talking to her about it, like saying, I need your help, I don't know what to do. Like, I remember having this conflicting feeling that if I ask her for help, she'll now be aware of my weight, because she couldn't be aware of it. Like, I thought that I'd been fooling her somehow. Like, she can't really see what's happening here, because how could she love me? Yeah. And she hasn't mentioned it. So it's just this magical thing that I think I've conned her into with my wit and personality.
Man.
Yeah. And like, it was a real moment of like, I could lose her by discussing this with her, because then she'll know.
Yeah.
And I'm 500 pounds. So she somehow has missed that aspect of me.
Right.
But it's so weird that I was doing shit like that with her too, where it was like, no, I can't really eat in front of her. Like, let's go out to a fancy meal and, I want to take you on a date, and like, I'm ordering a salad and no, I'm not hungry, and taking her on dates and then eating afterwards, you know, and it's so odd.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe people listening have their own theories as far as if they are affected by the same kind of thing. Theories as to why. I mean, I got to be honest, and I've talked to therapists about it, and I never spend too much time on it, because I'm just like, this is a mechanical thing. I don't really understand what it has to do with, psychologically. I talk about, like growing up, this and that, and sort of having some of the same issues that you had, but I can't really figure it out. The more I talk to my girlfriend about it, the more I feel good about it, because she just loves me, and she's like, I loved you when I first met you and you were bigger, and I love you now, and I want you to be healthy, and we're gonna have kids, and I want you around. And so it's really, really difficult. Also because it changes. It's very difficult to figure out what the psychology is. Yeah. I still don't get it. I mean, I still have a friend of mine calls it FTS, fat teenager syndrome, where he's like, you're not, and even if you were bigger when you're a little smaller, you're a little big, you're not a fat teenager anymore. And you don't have to contend with those things. And, proven by the fact that you have a wife, I have a girlfriend, we're two guys who have had issues with ourselves when we were younger, and that's not those issues, they need to be conquered before you can even think about your health. And that's why after losing 200 pounds, I put on 100 and have been battling with that over the past, 20 years. So going back and forth trying to lose that. But at the same time I go, man, I am so attached to all of the insecurities that I had as an adolescent, as a teenager, like being pissed. Like, me and my buddy Phil, we were captains of the football team. We didn't have girlfriends. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we were, and liked and everything.
Yeah,
still,
man, I think at the end of the day, I don't know how much any of that shit really matters, because I know for me, I had a weird. I like left school early. Like I was a troubled guy, but I remember all I wanted was a girlfriend.
Yeah.
As a teenager, and I just believed I would never have one.
Sure.
I just believed like,
Yeah.
I need to make a lot of money. I need to become successful. Like these things will allow me to have a girlfriend. And at the end of the day, none of that shit mattered. My wife's family is all actors. If anything, she was kind of repulsed by the idea of being in a relationship with an actor because her father was an actor, her sister's an actress, and she was kind of like, I don't want that life. That's but somehow it happened, and then there was just a day where I woke up and was like, oh, none of this shit matters because I made this connection with this person, and all of the stuff in my head that had to happen first didn't.
Yeah.
None of that was relevant to this connection I've made. And it kind of gave me the freedom to examine myself in a way. But I agree, it is mechanical though too. Every time I analyze all this shit, I'm like, I don't know how it happened really. I don't know I don't know if I could have heard any of this earlier and made a difference. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, what you're saying, that it may not even matter. Yeah. It's weird. I sometimes I'll feel like, I'll get going on a good regimen. And before I had a, girlfriend who was a trainer and a private chef, I would get going on some regimen and I would feel good. Certainly I've had success. I lost 200 pounds and then I would lose, and I'd gain 60 and lose 50 or whatever, and be good at it and bad at it and hurt and heal back and forth. And just, if you put together a good week, then you can see some results and maybe you can get on that train, because it takes time to feel the effects of things just metaphysically. Yeah. Like I remember when I started losing weight when I was 450, I had a friend of mine say, "Oh, you have some color in your face," because I wasn't eating shit. I just started eating better. So I was just eating a lot of vegetables and stuff and just steaming chicken. And it's like, and I just remember that was like 5 days in and going, oh, you can tell just a difference with my face. And then guys, we lose the weight in our face first. So, which is, the case a lot of times, guys, and you get to see it. And you can sort of feel motivated. But for most people, ever since social media, every once in a while I'll have, someone reach out to me and say, oh, you've inspired me to lose some weight, or, hey, you're a tank ass right now. What are you doing? How are you doing with this struggle? And I always kind of be like, oh, it's usually a guy, because I'm male, and I feel like people, feel better reaching out to their own, their own club there. I haven't had many women reach out, but I have had some, and I just tell them like, like really try to forgive yourself and take it a day at a time. Yeah. We ordered some groceries because we were like, and we're cooking for ourselves and stuff, and we're always at the grocery store, but she's like, my girlfriend's like, well, let's get this. I'll go to the grocery store tomorrow. Just get the thing okay. So we ordered some groceries, and I ordered some, what is it? The Frito-Lay chili cheese, just Fritos. Fritos are the best corn chip. And I ordered
and like in defense of that statement, they have the least ingredients.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I believe it's corn, salt, and maybe oil, but it might not even be that. Like I look at that and I go like, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Well, I ordered them and I was like, literally like, I'm going to just, because I don't like to, lie to my girlfriend about food, but I do sort of throw my food cheating in her face just to see what she'll do. And then I have to, because what that forces me to do is to go, no, I really am, this is not good. This is also disrespectful to her because she's helping me. And she's like cooking these incredible, I've basically eaten like roast vegetables and chicken a lot of the time. I've settled onto that meal. And now I've ordered these things. So I remember, this is not too long ago, 2-3 weeks ago, I ordered these, I put these chips in the thing, and then I was up in the shower and the groceries arrived, and I was like, shit, I was going to covertly take these chips, and then maybe, she'll hear me crunching like late at night. And I'll be like, what the fuck do you want from me? But she caught them. and then she put them in this planter in the house. And then I found them. Then oh, that's what it was. We were having friends over, and I was including them in my cauliflower pizza night. Yeah. So what a bummer too. It's like, we're gonna smoke a little weed. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna hang out outside, do the social distancing, and crack wise. And everyone has to eat cauliflower pizza though. And why? Because I'm on this thing. So even if you want to come over, well, fuck you.
That's what we're serving.
Yeah, that's what we're having. All right, fine. I got a buddy who's now like a vegan, and he used to eat all sorts of shit. And my buddy Chad, and now he's so vegan and so healthy. And he's the only guy who's like, yeah, that sounds good. And I gotta pull it back for him because he's like, I don't want cheese. Yeah, he's like, I got a cashew cheese. All right, we'll get one of those piece of shit pizzas for you. Yeah. And other people are like, can we get like one real pizza? Nope. We can get a shittier pizza for Chad that just has that fucking oozy cashew cheese on it. But everyone's gonna eat this. Oh, great. And then they go home and go to sleep like normal people, and I've got these chili cheese fucking chips, and I'm like, uh-oh, where are these chips? She hid them somewhere. I found them that first night. I'm like, I bet you. And I went, because she's not really trying to hide the shit super hard. She doesn't know what sort of, evil Bond villain of hiding food that I am. So then she hides them, and I found them, and I fucking went, oh, this will be good. I ate some, and then I put the elastic band around and put them back into her hiding place. Fuck you. Right. I'm running this shit. I know where this stuff, I know every nook and corner of this house. You can try me. I'll fucking find it in 10 minutes. Yeah. And then I did that, and then I went back to the well a couple times. And then I ate them all. I fucking ate them all. And then we had like a nice conversation a couple days ago where I kind of, leave it to me, I completely forgot what sort of epiphany I had. But, it was a nice moment where she's like, you don't have to do that anymore. Like, you don't have to replace love with food or whatever. She just had this wonderful shit she was saying. And I broke down a bit and I said, I ate those chips you hid. What?
She didn't know?
She didn't fucking know because that was 2 weeks ago or something. This is recently.
I would have kept putting that bag back until there was one chip left, and I would have left that chip for a week, and then I would have eaten that chip.
Oh, I told her I ordered this cereal that you can buy online that has like no sugar. Some new cereal that I literally saw advertised on Instagram.
Tasty Spoon or something like that?
Yeah. Tasty Spoon.
Yeah.
I ordered every flavor of Tasty Spoon, and she was like, I don't know why I let you do that. She's like, I don't know why I let you do that. That stuff's not going to be good. I don't know. So now she's hid the fucking Tasty Spoon, but I had some on like a cheat day. Can I have, we didn't have oatmeal in the house.
Right.
Can I just have, she's like, yes, you get one bowl and I'll go get it and it's hidden.
My bowl would be the entire salad.
Right. A big
like
salad
a 4-quart bowl.
Yes. I have my favorite bowl.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'll get it for you. And then there was one little sugary frosted O with fake sugar just under the cabinetry. And the other day I was like, after I ate the cereal, I was like, there's a little Cheerio that I didn't get while I was cleaning up. And I said, I'm just going to leave it there. Mm. She's like, what are you talking about? She said, I'm just going to leave it there. The dogs, for some reason, don't care. They don't want to eat it. They know that it's not real food. It's just a piece of plastic to them. I said, at one point, I'm really going to enjoy bending down and eating that one Cheerio off the fucking ground like a piece of shit. And there was up until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, there was boxes in the cupboard. Well, I can't open the new box. She's going to know that right away. Yeah. And I'm like, there's open boxes here somewhere. And then the other day, and this will be nice, if Molly, if you're listening, if she listens to this, I haven't told her this yet. So this is an exclusive. Yeah. I know where she's got the fucking, babe, I went to get a kitchen cloth the other day. You put the cereal in the kitchen cloth drawer.
Hidden under the cloth,
shoved between some table. I'm like, that ain't. I have spidey senses for. I open and I hear the cardboard shift, and then it hits the bag, and there's something crunchy. I know that. Yeah. That's like me being I can be a bear out in the woods, and you're dead. I'll fucking find you. I can smell it. I can hear it, and I fucking pulled that out. Goddamn! Now I'm confessing this. And the other night, handful of Tasty Spoon, and then, chugging almond milk, unsweetened almond, nom, 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 and then a little bit more. She's asleep. So, but I left some. So, sweetheart, if you're listening now, there's a full bowl left. If you want that, of course you don't want that. You should have thrown it away a long time ago. That's the moral of the story.
Everything hidden in my house right now is a game either amongst my children hiding shit from each other. Yep. Or my wife going like, I found an old Halloween bag of candy that I'm going to hide. Yeah. And one of the kids discovers it, and it very slowly just gets smaller and smaller.
Yes. Well, you've had your family around you forever. So, and having your wife with you, that changes everything. I don't want to hide food. Well, first of all, living alone, wasn't hiding any food.
Right.
But I also wouldn't bring that shit into my house because I just knew I would eat it. What the fuck am I doing hiding this bag of chips? I think what it is I want the access to it. I want to know that I am my own person and I can have access. Now, I can't leave in the middle of the night and go to the 7-Eleven and get chips and a fucking doughy sandwich or something because I've got this new lifestyle and my girlfriend, and there's just no fucking way. So I've got to covertly get a bag of chips in here and not just bring it in. Postmates is the only way I'll do that. You can't just bring home the groceries. No. We're grocery shopping together.
And there's something about cooking too. I don't think I ever made myself a big elaborate meal with a lot of care and then was hungry enough to eat it. Because you're like tasting it along the way or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I will cook the shit out of a meal for my wife and kids. Yeah. But I'm totally with you. My problem was all sneaking around, going to 7-Eleven. By the way, knowing the difference between a 7-Eleven cheeseburger and an AM PM cheeseburger, one's a little more gray.
Yeah, AM PM's a little more gray. They got a little horse meat in there. Perfectly allowed.
Perfectly allowed. Yeah. Like if the mood hits you, I'm going to AM PM. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. Like, I never felt judgment from the dude at AM PM. I was always like, what do you want? You're a fucking AM. This is not some high-class food establishment.
It's so funny how you judge literally the entire establishment. I do the same thing. The nicer the place. Yeah. You can't go to, and that's the thing. It keeps you from eating healthy because you could, in LA, we have all these bowl places now where it's like bed of kale or a bed of romaine, or if you're fucking thin, you can get your fucking brown rice and then choose you want some edamame, you want some fucking beef. And you can't go into a place like that, not that they're open at 2 a.m., but you can't go into any good place late at night and just get food that you shouldn't be eating past 10 or 11 o'clock. Yeah. You'll get looked at. Oh, wait, why are they open that late? Because they want your business. Yeah. No, not me. You're going to judge me. Well, I don't give a fuck who you are. You want 5 place settings? I'll give you as many plastic forks as you like, fat ass. Yeah. I don't give a shit if you go home and explode right now. But the guilt, or just ordering small things when you know you're gonna, it's like I've fooled myself so many times, like I'm not gonna eat the bun. Right. And then you eat half the bun. Yeah. I've been eating half the bun. Also, I've been, as actors, you're schlepping around town. I've perfected in the past what I considered to be the perfect 7-Eleven meal that to tide you over, because you're not going to have dinner quite yet, but it's like 4 o'clock and you're fighting traffic to get back to the east side because you had to go bomb an audition in Santa Monica. And it would be one of their sandwiches cut in half, like they got the turkey, cheese, or the tuna, and you take the bread off. But with the tuna, what you can do is you can peel most of the bread away, because this thing was made, 3 days ago in Corona, California, and the tuna sticks to the bread, so you can just keep a little bit of the bread, and the tuna, without bread around it, keeps its form. There's some sort of force field.
It's like a sliced lunch meat.
It's like a sliced lunch meat, but you're getting tuna. Then I get a banana and a V8. Not because it's good.
No, it's healthy
for you. Yeah, it's delicious though. And I kid myself. It's like I had a little gazpacho and a little tuna salad, and I had some banana for dessert.
I mean, this is paleo, what we're talking about. You've gone paleo.
I've gone, I can do a 7-Eleven. That's the name of my book, 7-Eleven Paleo. Yeah. It's a 2-page book. And, dude, I mean, I've done, it's so interesting to be here, dude. Like, I bet you and I have done the exact same shit with food, and then I don't know. It's just such a
I really have always looked at you, looked at how you act, and thought that's a guy who is not self-conscious. I mean, I'm serious, and had some envy, like the way you carry yourself and your presence. And I would look and go, like, how do I do that? Like, how does he do that? And it's so amazing hearing all this. It's just like, how do we ever fucking know?
I would
from
think the
person
same
to
thing,
next?
dude. I would look at you and go, you know, Ethan. I mean, first of all, you're a fantastic actor.
Thank you. As
Cheers.
are you.
Oh, that's nice. Cheers. And I always like, you know, Ethan is the real deal. Like, he's a real fucking actor. I mean, not to say that, you know, of course you are, but in a way that I admire, in a way that I'm like, this guy's fucking fantastic. And I've looked at you that way. I'm like, oh, and also to hear like, oh, well, you know, business is good if you're going to look a certain way. You know, it might be good for business for guys like you and I. And I looked at you the same way. I think that is just inherent in people like us to go, because I look at, you know, yourself and other bigger guys and go, oh, they're fucking owning it. And, but the truth is, you know, for me at least, I mean, I just kind of feel like, no, that's just something I put on. You know,
too.
Yeah, you just put it on, and it's really interesting finding. You know, I found acting. I mean, I always wanted to be an actor when I was younger and stuff. But then in my teens, I was fortunate enough to start working, and I know you did too. Did you start? You were like in your teens, yeah. So when when you start that young, it's like there is. To me, it was all a fantasy. It was all a facade. Because no, I don't have that kind of. You know, like, not having a girlfriend in high school or whatever. And no, it's something that I put on, and then it's, you know, for me, it was actually very easy because predominantly I'm doing a lot of, you know, I mean, and I know you've done shitloads of comedy also, but being on a show like when I, you know, years ago on Mad TV, you're just looked at as like super silly. People are so forgiving of whatever super silly thing that you're doing. And even when I'm, you know, on more serious sets or working dramatically, people always respected me and thought that I want to look this way. Or it's really, as I'm talking about it, it's a mind fuck. But I think we all sort of have that, oh, they don't care. Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate, you know, my father was he was a health nut, and he ran and he lifted weights. He taught me how to lift weights, and I was lifting weights and stuff and playing football in my teens. And then again, as I said, you know, you get out of high school, and then, you know, I moved to LA and the whole thing. And then I was just I just got bigger and bigger. But I don't know. It's such a, I just was lifting weights. So I was just like always sort of putting my shoulders back and putting my chest out. And also you look at yourself on TV and in the movies and you go, I got to look a little different. I got to carry myself a little different. And then I am throwing up tons of weight. So I did have, you know, and I've always been, you know, bigger and having muscles and stuff. So muscles, you know, on a guy like you or me, you know, of course it does works well for us.
Super helpful.
Yeah. And so I just sort of leaned on that. I was thinking about a show that I did 10 years ago where I weighed more than I do now, but I looked better on the show because I had bowling balls for shoulders. Right. And just my chest was definitely bigger than my gut. Even though I
think you look great.
Oh, cheers.
I really do.
Oh, that's very sweet of you. I'm trying to, I want to lose, I just want to lose some, I have like a target weight that's still kind of chubby, and that me, and again, my, you know, my expert girlfriend are like, because she's like, what do you want to do? Right. Like, I just want you to be healthy. How do you want to feel? I feel much better right now. I feel super guilty because, like I've said, over the past like month and a bit, we've been a little more lax, and she's been kind of taking the foot off the gas a little bit, so that, because here we are in this pandemic and we're all trying to feel normal, and we've noticed that, man, we're just dealing with things like, you know, you deal with all the other things in life, and there's this and that emotional effect of rah, rah, rah. And I think that everybody right now is just wants to experience some sense of normalcy. For me, over the summer. Fuck, it's July. Oh shit, it's almost September.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to have to
something.
Yeah,
I mean,
to feel normal. And she doesn't have the food thing like I did, but she certainly she loves sweets, and she'll definitely dig, some of the she has a much less provincial palate than me. She'll eat, she'll like to eat good things, and if we're eating something fancy, she's into that.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. Again, I'll eat, meat out of a tube. But it's we did chill out a little bit. So now over the past month, I'm like, I don't look, because I was on a trajectory, and now I feel guilt over that. And I'm telling you about eating, sneaking Fritos into the house.
No, but but look, dude, I think at the end of the day, I did pretty much the same thing. I just started earlier on when quarantine came. I was right in the middle of like stressful dieting, and I kind of went, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to try to survive workouts in my house and stressful dieting with whatever craziness is happening at supermarkets and who knows and all this shit. It's just an added stress because dieting is stressful to the body.
Yeah.
And I went to maintenance, so it was still like not eating whatever I wanted, but it was way easier. When we came out of it, for that blip of time that we came out of it for, I went onto my diet. And then when we went back into it, I was like, well, I'm dieting and I've figured it out. But I think that's completely valid.
It's
what
fine.
Are we fucking doing here at the end
know.
of the day?
And literally it's like now things are, like we were talking earlier before that we started rolling that I've been told that we're shooting something. I was supposed to shoot a couple episodes of something. Oh, it's going to happen in August.
Yeah.
And then it's going to move to September. It might be September. It might be October. The only thing I'm thinking of with regard to, I'm going to be doing that thing is looking good at this point, because it's a show where, I've been on it before. So I was like, I want to go back and have them have to do the wardrobe over like that, and it won't have any bearing on the character at all. And also it just doesn't matter. I don't think anyone's going to, I don't think it's not going to be jarring because I've just lost some weight since the spring. But that's the only fucking thing I'm thinking about. So I'm like, whatever. We relaxed a bit. Let's get into it a little bit more.
Look, from an exterior point of view, you have fucking traps. You have shoulders. You said bowling balls. They look pretty bowling ballish to me.
I'm holding my breath right now, so Ethan's impressed.
No, but I mean seriously. So I like always, but I've always looked at you and thought like he's got it together, and I still look at you and think that.
Oh, cheers. Well, no one's doing what you're doing, man. You should be commended. It's
who
fucking
knows?
incredible.
I'm holding onto it by a thread, and just because of every time I don't do what I'm doing, I go rapidly in the other direction.
Yeah.
Well.
And that's okay too, man. Like to be like, I've got to push really hard just to be regular.
Yeah.
I always knew, for a lot of reasons. One, because just being a bigger guy over the years, my friends can have this and I can't have that. And the only times I've been very successful is when I've been extremely regimented. So long as you're not, when you go up and down in weight, of course, you're taxing your body in so many different ways. And so long as you're not doing that, dude, I mean, I kind of feel like, now, I look at, what you've done with your body gaining and losing weight over the years. And I look at myself doing that, and I feel like, well, now that we're at the age that we're at, it's just like shut it down a bit. And I feel like, and you have kids, so it which presents a whole new amount of like I'm not looking forward to like, oh fuck, there's going to be goldfish everywhere.
Yeah,
those
and
are delicious.
Fucking chicken McNuggets.
Yes,
and
chicken nuggets.
Mac and cheese.
Yes.
These are staples of children's.
Mac and cheese. Yeah. That's going to be. We're going to have to like get our kids, like like I said, we'd like to have kids, and it's going to be one of these things where we're going to have to develop something that the kids are completely immune to, that she can put into the mac and cheese that'll be like a syrup of Ekicac that will only work on me. So that like that pill they give to alcoholics where it's like, you're going to die. Yeah. So take this pill. If you drink alcohol, you'll fucking throw up and have to be in bed for 3 days. That's what we're going to have to, I'm going to be working with a chemist to develop, and I'll let you in on it. It will have no flavor. The kids won't notice that their mac and cheese tastes different than the other kids when they go to someone else's house. house. I'd be like, oh, their mac and cheese doesn't taste like fuck. Your mac and cheese tastes like aspirin.
Yeah.
And we'll put something in there to where if I take a bite of this mac and cheese, I'll be blown brown out of both ends.
Yeah.
That would be good. That's what I'm thinking. That's the sort of...
I think that too, dude. I mean, that pill, I wanted that pill for food for so long. Like if they had that, I would take it.
Yeah.
And then I heard about a pill that made you shit your pants a little bit, but it like shot the fats and carbohydrates right through your system. Yeah. And I was like, I got to try this. I think it was even called Alley Oops. Maybe I could be making that up. I don't know.
Dude, here, I'll share something super fucking embarrassing that I was just telling a bunch of friends about. I mean, when I told my girlfriend this, she was like, what? What is that? I was working with this naturopath a few years ago, and I lost 45 pounds doing this thing over a summer. Oh, this is embarrassing. Basically what you do is it's a hormone that you inject. Let me just skip to the end. I have an incredible doctor who's actually not far from here who's like, what are you doing? That's a fucking placebo. You were eating right. That's how you lost why the fuck, who's this fucking doctor? Why aren't you talking to me? I was like, I don't know, he's a naturopath. You just get some B12 shots and stop trying to fucking, you're not, what are you doing? What are you, don't do that. But what you do is you take the very little amount of this stuff with a syringe. You get this stuff delivered to your house in this like vacuum sealed, the way a kidney gets transported. It's all, got ice packs around it. And it's these two little fucking serums that are nothing. And you mix them together and then you take a syringe and you pull out a few cc's and you have to inject yourself into the fat around your belly button because and it'll spread from there. You can go anywhere else in your abdomen if you feel like it. Doesn't really matter where. And you do that every day. And now here's the diet. And this is fucking incredible. This is what he told me. The diet was developed during the famine in the 1980s in Africa. Doctors were going over there and learning that, women who were otherwise completely stricken by this horrible famine in Ethiopia and elsewhere were giving birth to kids who were, healthier than the parents were. Of course, the famine that the kids were dealing with was just as bad, of course. But upon being born, the nutrients and the fat and everything were speeding from the mother, the host, into this child so the child could be healthy. That's the way our bodies work. Leave it to fucking American doctors to go, oh, well, what we do is we localize that hormone and inject it into fat people. So
I think I know this one.
Yeah?
HCG? Is it HCG?
Yeah, dude, that sounds familiar. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, I'm like, this isn't HGH, is it? Am I going to grow
No,
huge?
it's totally different, but it's like, I know this. And you eat like a piece of Melba toast.
Yes.
And like a 3 ounces of chicken.
Yes.
And 2 stalks
vegetables. It was such bullshit, and it was clearly done in the fucking 80s because, first of all, he's running off a piece of paper, and he's a great guy. Great guy. We became pals, but I don't know what the fuck I was doing paying for any of this shit. I probably owe him a call. So you get this fucking thing, and then the menu is 2 breadsticks or a specific kind of Melba toast,
right? And
then you can have your low fat protein you're supposed to have, and then one kind of vegetable. Because these fucking people who came up with the diet were like, give fatty one kind of. Yeah. So Swiss chard or
a sliced
zucchini,
tomato,
or some tomato. Don't mix anything with anything. No oils. Right. Well, that'll shed some fat. Maybe it's that. No, it's this pink stuff that you're injecting into yourself for $1,000, or whatever.
Let me ask you this, because the thing I remember most from that diet was gorging before doing it. I was told,
yes.
You eat for 3 days.
Yes.
And you eat everything.
Yes.
And you want to fucking just eat fats and everything. Like, I think I did that diet simply because I was told 3 days of stuffing yourself.
Yes. Dude, I went to kettle glazed on Franklin for the first and last time. As I'm thinking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I always told myself I was going to go back to kettle glazed. This was 7 years ago.
Right.
And I'll drive by it and go, oh, that's kettle glazed. They know what they're doing. I haven't been back in there yet because because that's a fine establishment. It's not open at 3 a.m. That's not. I don't eat donuts at 4. I haven't had a donut before 2 a.m. Since I was a kid.
But if the light is on at Krispy Kreme at 2 a.m. and they're saying it's piping hot right now, well,
yeah. So this shit. I noticed on the menu. I remember I said to the doctor who's giving me this photocopy of the thing. I'm like, what? I'm like, what about kale? And he goes, oh yeah, kale would be okay. And I went, the only reason kale isn't on this diet is because it was authored in 1986.
Right.
And kale just wasn't a thing yet. Well, this is bullshit. Then I went off to make a film, and I was in Ottawa for like a month. And I was eating, it's like all that East Coast of Canada has just such a smoked meat culture. You can get like the best Montreal.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was going, I was like I was like a touring carnival professional wrestler in the 1950s, bringing food into the hotel room, cutting tomatoes on a fucking like Tupperware lid.
You did it while working?
Yes, man. In a fucking, and we're all staying at the same hotel, obviously. I'm not doing anything out of what everyone else in the cast. We're just staying at this hotel. It was great. And so I didn't have a kitchen or anything. And I pulled it off. The only thing I asked the kitchen, like, do you, this is literally in Canada, they're like, oh, we just got a whole elk.
Right.
I'm like, oh, elk meat's on oh, great. Can I get, they're like, yeah, we can deliver that. We can put that in your room every night.
4-ounce elk steak.
Yeah, I'm eating, by the way, not 4 ounces, because that's where I would cheat.
Right.
I'm like, I'm a house. I can eat so much protein, it won't matter. And I did. And I still fucking lost weight, which only made me believe in this pink juice I was injecting into myself until I got back to LA and my doctor was like, what are you doing? And I want everyone to know, this is a very good impersonation of my doctor. Right. What are you doing? What are you, crazy? That's exactly what he sounds like. Dr. H. And so I was eating, and also I was taking like shaved, like Montreal, shaved fucking corned beef and pastrami and beef, which they sell in the grocery stores. Just get a fucking brick of that and take that home, just covered in fat, not on the diet, still losing weight. And it's only because I'm not eating past 10 o'clock.
Right.
I'm not eating any carbohydrates except for this dumb Melba toast.
Right.
That is,
which you're almost taking medicinally at that point, because you're like, what is this? Yeah. Half-ounce cracker do for me
it's
nutritionally?
Not fun.
It's nothing.
I would take the 2 crackers, and if I had a tomato salad, I'm like, ooh, I have a delicious tomato sandwich. And then I'll eat the rest of my salad. That's the side salad.
Yeah.
Here's what I got. I got this delicious little tomato sandwich, and you just eat it slowly. I'm always making side sandwiches of stuff. If I go to a restaurant and there's like, oh, they bring bread, I'm like, I don't want the bread. Certainly since, my girlfriend has been around, she's like, we don't need bread. But I'll take like the thing, and then it's like, whatever you're having.
It becomes a sandwich.
It becomes a little sandwich you have if the bread is still around, because you're eating with normal people. There's still bread by the time the entrees come.
Right.
So now I'm taking a little bit of, I've noticed you haven't eaten any bread. Yeah. I'm just going to have a little tiny chicken sandwich on the side. And people trying to talk to you, and you're like, taking fucking, like lettuce off your plate and making a little. Are you making a tiny sandwich right now? Are you listening to what I'm saying? No, I'm listening. I can make tiny sandwiches. I've been doing this since I was a kid.
Professional.
Yeah, I'm a professional. I'm a tiny sandwich artist. Yeah. All big guys are tiny sandwich artists. We can make them with crackers, Melba toast.
Right. And there's something about a tiny sandwich too, where eating 16 tiny sandwiches is not the same as far as like getting exterior judgment as eating one like foot-long sub.
Dude, I used to do this thing. I remember like castmates of mine, like it was really wasteful and shitty. And I wouldn't do it that often, but I would just do it to make them laugh. I would make a fucking full sandwich, and I would take, and I've heard you talk about this and that. This is a whole other fucking thing. Craft service and catering on sets, and even if you're out there and you've never even been on a set, I'm sure you've heard of. Of course they have all this incredible food. So there's always a deli case most of the time if you're working on something. If you're in a studio, and even if you're not on the fucking truck, they got some deli case, and you go in there. So I would make this perfect deli fucking sandwich with all the bells and whistles, mayonnaise and mustard and the pickle and the lettuce and the thing, and make this whole sandwich. And people go, oh, he's making it? Okay. And he's got a lot of roast beef on this one. And also chicken. Okay, what's he thumbing around for? Oh, he found some bacon. Well, it's cold. Is he going to heat it up? Nope. Putting that on there. Well, that's a pretty good sandwich. I would pay $7 for that sandwich. And then I would take like a bite or maybe 2 and then violently throw it into the garbage, and everyone would laugh, and I would be left with my food issues still.
Yeah.
But it's like I would. There's so many sandwich hacks because I don't want to give up sandwiches.
Yeah.
When I lost all the weight, I was like, my doctor, same doctor, was like, eat whatever you want now for a little while. I'm like, can I have some goddamn pasta? Yeah, just take it easy on yourself. A couple months, recover. I never quite got back to the way I was eating when I lost 200 pounds because that was fucking insane.
Yeah.
And I had the surgery and I'm like, can I be a normal person? Can I have a pasta salad? The answer is no. Right. But I've been convincing myself that I can have tiny sandwiches.
Tiny sandwiches.
That'll be the name of my book, Tiny Sandwiches, forward by Ethan Suplee.
I wanted to be a normal person to have tiny sandwiches too, and then I discovered White Castle on a trip to the East Coast and was like, oh, well,
yeah.
That's what they do, tiny sandwiches. I'm going to get 24 of them.
Have you ever, and if you shoot in the South, you know that they have you ever been to Crystal?
That's fried chicken?
No, Crystal is White Castle in the South.
I have not been to Crystal.
It's the same.
Right.
But it's so fucking good. Holy shit. I ate Crystal about a year and a bit ago, and my girlfriend came out for a while I was shooting. We were in Georgia, and we were in Rome, Georgia, where there's not a lot going on. At night, it's basically there's a TGI Fridays and an Applebee's, and then there's this one place. If you're in Rome, Georgia, and you have the means, I think it was the Jerusalem Grill, where it was just this fantastic Lebanese food, and we're like, oh my God, no one's in here.
Right. Just
the best like fattoush salad and just chicken breast or whatever, and we could eat healthy. But one night I was coming back from set or something, and I said, hey, I'm just gonna stop. And she was in town visiting while I was shooting this thing, and I remember saying, I said, I'm at this burger place. She's like, get out. I'm like, I'm just going to have just until we go to dinner later.
It's very small.
Yeah, it's very small. I won't eat the buns. She's like, you won't eat the buns? I'm like, yeah, what if I just have that? Yeah, because literally now she's my sensei of, I got to tell her all the shit I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah. And so there I am in the parking lot eating these, like eating crystal burgers the way someone would eat an Oreo when they don't want the cookie, just eating the cream out of the middle.
Yeah.
Just eating the meat cream, and then oops, I ate an entire bun.
Yeah.
Whoops.
It just fell into my mouth.
It just fell into my mouth. Man.
But now everyone, I mean, I don't know about everyone, but I know like we have In-N-Out here, and they'll do a burger without a bun. Like you don't even have to risk having it in your car, because I've peeled many burgers off the buns.
Yes. Peeling burgers. That's the name of my second book. Yeah. Yeah, man, you can get, in LA, you kind of have no excuse because you can get good food and relatively cheap even, because you can get a protein style burger at In-N-Out, which I'm not allowed to have anymore. Even the protein style, yeah. So, because that cheese isn't cheese. And if you're getting it,
and it's covered like even the sauce is
no, you can't have the sauce.
Sugar.
Yeah, you can't. Oh yeah, no, you cannot have the sauce. So I've had that thing where you're like, why the fuck would I even go to In-N-Out to get just their patty on lettuce with tomato and onion?
I might as well make it at my house.
Yeah, you might as well and you can make more. And you can make them smaller, have little tiny In-N-Out sandwiches.
Yeah. 300 of them.
Jesus, dude. Fuck, man. It boggles the mind. It's so interesting, again, to speak to you because we've done the exact same shit.
Yeah. It really does make me feel better, though.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have people. There's some weird thing about doing this shit for so long where you feel alone and isolated. It's like getting sober too, when you go to a meeting and you're talking to people and you realize like, oh fuck, a lot of people have the same issue with substances that I have, and I'm not alone. And there's something that feels better about the talking. Like, dude, I never wanted to talk about this. I never felt comfortable talking about this.
Why did you? May I ask, why did you decide to do this podcast?
I woke up one day and was like, maybe this will help keep me accountable, one, and I've been doing it for a long time. Like I can talk about my experience, and maybe somebody out there will get something out of it.
What you're doing is really important, and you do have a vast knowledge. Just listening to you talk a little bit on the podcast, I'm like, oh fuck, he knows his shit. Oh man, he's talking macros and micros. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Because you really will. You're going to help a lot of people. That's fucking great.
And I'm getting a lot out of it too. This is huge,
Yeah, it's
dude.
huge for me. Yeah, it's wild.
I've known about you
Yeah.
for almost 30 years,
Me too.
25 years.
Yeah.
And like just having like having this conversation with you has been fucking awesome.
Yeah, man. That's Jesus. I am sure we could cover all sorts of fucking
For sure.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now what you're doing just physically, like I mean, just with regard to your workout, is also so impressive. Like I look at your fucking Instagram, and I'm like I said, I haven't been lifting since the pandemic started. I was working with my trainer, and I haven't since. And now I have absolutely no excuse. He's like, I can come over there. I can stay 6 feet away. I'm like, yeah. We'll get into it. My girlfriend's got me walking 5 fucking miles a day. Would you lean off? I don't want to do that either. Actually, I do. I used to be able to walk. I could walk for a fucking year back when I was like, losing weight. And now I'm like, it's hot. But I got to get back into lifting, dude. And just what you're doing with like the lifting. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And people are blown away, man, by what you're doing.
I love lifting weights. It's just something I love doing. Like I've started doing it and I feel good after. And it's like it can set my whole day up, like as though I've done meditation or something.
Yes.
And the rest of the day, it's like you can't fuck with me now.
That's awesome, man. I used to train early in the day also, and I used to be at a point, and now I need to get. And walking doesn't really do this for me, but I used to feel like if I don't sweat, I can't. My brain isn't gonna work. And I'm not to open a can of worms, but that also, if you're dealing with, any kind of, obviously, and I could go on and on, but obviously if you're dealing with any kind of depression and you're trying to lose weight, of course it releases these endorphins, and it is very beneficial to sweat. You will feel better in your mind an hour later. And I have let go of that weights really did. There's nothing like weights to make you feel spent in the way. Yeah, in the way that it's different than any other. It's different than any aerobic workout. It's different than yoga, which I've done. I dig yoga. I really dig it, but it's so specific. When you lift weights, you do feel like, I did it. Yeah, I did it today. Yeah. Now I just got to handle some. If you're on a light day, it's like, I got some emails and phone calls. Got to get ready for tomorrow. Memorize some lines, and you feel like you've done enough. Yeah, in a day.
I'm not shitting on cardio, and I think we're all different. So I'm not speaking for anybody else, and I don't know the exact science on it, but I know that when I was chasing cardio, I had to destroy myself to feel the way that I can feel just by lifting weights for an hour.
Absolutely. Well, building lean muscle mass will burn way more fat than cardio will ever do. And right now I'm doing cardio for, it's what I'm doing with food. And again, what my gal has set up that is really helping me. That's what's getting me losing the weight right now. Going for the walks is really beneficial just physically, but no, it's not. I don't think it's. I subscribe to the same thought, and that's why without weightlifting, I would not have lost the weight. Yeah. And I was doing my cardio because I was also, I was nuts you know what it's like when you get into a workout thing. You're like, I got to fucking bust my ass. Of course I'm going to do the cardio as well. Oh shit, it's better to do it before than you read something. It's better to do it after. Right. Whatever. Do
it fasting. Do it after a meal. The whole thing. Yeah. There's so many theories, but I do a little cardio now. I feel nothing but warm.
Yes.
If I want to feel the way after I lift weights from cardio, it takes a lot more effort. Yeah. For me.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, this walk that we do is an hour and a half. And it's 5 miles, an hour and a half. And I do feel like, fuck this when it's over, which is good. And I'm always trying to talk her into shortcuts. Yeah. Well, what if we go back? Oh, aren't you training a client on Zoom now? Don't you? Right. Don't you have to get back? She's like, I'm fine. I don't have to take a shower before. Yeah. Nah, we could just take this shower. It's fucking hot. What are you talking about? 6:30. It's not going to get any cooler. Well, I just think we should turn back. Okay, shut up.
It's a lot to work through.
Yeah. But I got to get back into... Yeah, I got to get back into lifting the weights. And I do dig it when I'm doing it. It's just, I just haven't, this is the longest I've gone without lifting weight. It's been 6 years.
Will, thank you so much. This has been a fucking pleasure, man.
Dude, Ethan, it's awesome to be here. I'm so glad you reached out. I feel like I've known you, even though we were saying before,
we met once.
We met once in an audition.
Yeah.
And I just think it's awesome what you're doing, dude. And you know, may you fucking continue to do it and live whatever healthy lifestyle you want. I just think what you're doing is so important. And I'm so stoked that I met you. And you know, there's so much I want to talk to you about. So
yeah,
you know,
let's do it again for sure. Let's do a meetup on this. Okay.
Absolutely, man.
Thanks
for having me.
Appreciate it. And now for the Q&A. Kelly on lifting heavy at home. Kelly writes, I love is all caps, lifting heavy, and quarantine has really messed me up. I feel you, Kelly. I still feel kind of sketchy about gyms, but I really don't want to be losing muscle while I'm losing weight. I want to keep that muscle. 3 exclamation points. I feel you, Kelly. Any suggestions on how I can make the best of it at home? Maybe a website or trainer with good videos, etc. Yes. Kelly. So what I did, I don't know what your home setup is like. If you have absolutely 0 weights at home, you can definitely maintain muscle with body weight exercises. What it takes is it's a lot longer, a lot more reps, and maybe slow it down, concentrate on the movements a little bit more. Like, you know, if I'm doing a chest day in a gym, the amount of reps I'm getting is far, far less than I'll need to do if I'm doing push-ups at home. If I'm doing push-ups at home, I'm going to go much slower, much more concentrated, and much more reps. And that's kind of how you do it. So I found quarantine to be super brutal because of that, because the workouts are kind of boring and it's a lot more reps than I'm used to, but it is totally possible. I believe Mike Israetel of Renaissance Periodization has a series of videos that will deal specifically with this on YouTube. So you can look those up. I'm not totally sure on where else I would look for that information, but like pull-ups, you can find somewhere at home to do pull-ups. Push-ups, you can do pretty much anywhere. Squats, dips on the end of a chair. You can do a bunch of back exercises by leaning over and just grabbing something heavy. If you don't have a weight, a bag of rice or anything with some weight to it, and if it's really not heavy at all, just got to do it really slow. Hold at the peak contraction at the top for seconds, and then really so slow on letting it down. And that's kind of how you're going to stimulate those muscles to keep them around while the gyms are closed. Thank you for your question, Kelly. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the podcast, please submit it to americanglutton.net. Thanks for listening to this episode of American Glutton. I'm Ethan Suplee, and as always, joined by my chaperone, Paige Dorian. Follow us on Instagram at American Glutton Podcast. Sincerely.